Are we rolling?
This is my OCD kicking off, so please forgive me.
It's okay, we've all got ag works.
Okay, I'm gonna. I don't want to mirror it. I'm gonna do that.
How so? I mean, I might go like this. I don't know. It's just what's comfy. This is quite comfy for me.
Yeah, that's cool. You look like you're in charge as well.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, this is Nelly's podcast.
Yeah, welcome.
Hello, Nelly.
Hello.
I feel so kind of overly formal about these things. So everyone, this is Nelly Naylor.
Hello.
And welcome back to another episode of the I was going to say community podcast then, but the Creative Connection. How are you doing?
I'm great, and thank you for having me.
That's all right. Sorry, I just keep adjusting.
Great to be here in person.
It's nice to be in person doing this because I've done this kind of thing on and off now for 2 and a bit years since COVID.
A long time.
3 years. Because I hosted a film festival, and yeah, everything was online. So
it's just come full circle now, and now we can actually do things in person now, which
is
great. So we need to make the most of that.
And thanks to Nelly for driving 2 hours from Sheffield.
Yes, lovely. My first time here in Chester. I feel like we're near Chester Zoo. Is that right?
We are actually really close to Chester Zoo, so literally 5 minutes away from the big car park.
Oh, you see, I wish I could have. I should have stayed overnight, and then I could have gone to the zoo.
Yeah, you should have. Yeah, if you ever want to stay though, there's a downstairs bedroom, and your partner can come over.
We're sorted now.
Yeah, so Nelly and I we've worked together before, and I'm just trying to get my comfort. I'm really sorry.
Get the comfort. Get that cushion sorted.
I know. Yeah, this is so professional.
Yeah.
Just want to be comfy. That's it, I think.
You're comfy.
Happy, right? Yeah, sorry about this.
Good. You'll get comfy, my friend.
All this might stay in, I don't know.
Bloopers.
But Nelly, for the audience out there, and obviously it'll be in the thumbnail and everything, what do you do for a living?
So I am a wedding photographer, mainly, but I also photograph loads of other things as well. Business branding, corporate, headshots, do events, a bit of everything really, which I know is really boring to say, but my main thing is I photograph weddings, and I specialise in LGBTQ plus weddings, so that is kind of my main thing. So like everyone in the world, I'm a photographer, I'm a filmmaker. Yes.
When did you...
Do you know when you just wear, you can wear loads of different hats? I feel like that's kind of... I design websites, I can design logos, do a bit of graphic design. Yeah. Lots of creative things, which I guess is great for the Creative Connection.
It is. Nice full circle.
Yeah.
So how did you get started in photography?
So I went to... Well, first of all, I did it at A-level. Before that, I think I was... always had a camera in my hand when we were away on holiday with my parents, and we'd go on lovely holidays to Scotland and the lakes and Cornwall, and I would always have a camera in my hand on walks and just taking photos all the time. When I was little, so I was definitely passionate about it when I was younger, and then I could do it as an A-level, so I thought, all right, great, let's do that. Absolutely loved it, got an A in the A-level, and then kind of after your A-levels, when you don't really know what to do, so I was like, right, I'll go to uni and do it, because I felt like I did really well in that subject. So I went off to uni, went to Sheffield Hallam University in 2010 and graduated in 2014, and I think that just sparked just being around creative people all the time and all these projects that we got given, and then in the final year of university, we got given a project which was to start a business in photography, and I just totally ran with that.
Oh, so what did that give you? Different elements of business itself and how to make that work with photography? Absolutely,
because I feel like running a business, to be honest, I never thought I'd be self-employed. I just thought I would be, working for somebody else. But in the final year of uni, I really ran. The university was great, and they sent me on business workshops, they sent me on self-employment workshops, they gave access to an accountant, and they were like,
that's amazing.
If you want to start up in this called the enterprise team, if you want to do this, we're 100% behind you, and will give me all the tools to start running a photography business. They gave me a workspace, an office, and everything. Was like, let's just go for it. And I just thrived, I think, in doing the business side of things as well as being creative. For me, I think it's 60% business and 40% being creative, I would say.
I thought you were going to say 40% fun then, but it's all fun, isn't it?
It's all fun. I love the business side of it, and I love the creative side of it. But I definitely think in order to run like a successful business, you have to have that passion. Yeah. To be like, have that business mindset, which.
So were you, when you started your photography work, like I went through periods of working in retail and trying to do my own thing and all that. Were you working at a full-time job, part-time job at all when you started photography? Because obviously, I want to be a photographer. I want to do this full-time. And it's amazing that...
It's hard to do.
Nelly doesn't work for University of Sheffield or anything. But it sounds amazing that that course kind of gave you that business mindset. Was that like an extra module or something? It
was all extra, yes. So I was like doing my actual photography degree. And then in my spare time, I would be on workshops and learning how to... market myself, how to create a website.
So with that in mind, when you left literally the day after university, were you, obviously not the day after because you'd be a psycho if you went straight to a full-time job, but did you have other work, like a Joe job, so to speak, to pay for things?
Absolutely. And I feel...
because going straight into photography and working for yourself as a sole trader or independent business, it's incredible the amount of pressure you put on yourself. And that's what I wanted to kind of ask you about. What was that like progressing into photography?
It's just a minefield, isn't it? I mean, I definitely had a Joe job, so to speak. I worked at Nando's, flipping the chicken, of course.
Right, yeah.
And I was just in the kitchen, cooking all the food, and it was great, really. I did actually really love that job. The people are what made that.
100%,
so I was, 100%. So I really, really loved that. But yeah, I guess, had to do that for a couple of years, I would say. And then I actually thought, my business wasn't taken off like in the first couple of years. So I ended up applying for another job at a photography studio, and I got that job, and I was there for a year there. But that
was it like making cups of tea, or was it being
in the studio photographing families, like 5 families a day, which got me used to lighting and studio lighting and
keeping that was another business kind of element to it.
Totally, it was like learning someone else's business. But I thought after a year of that, I thought, you know what, I've learned so much, I guess, from this job. I can kind of just go solo. But I did. Going back a little bit, I'm ahead of myself now, but in my final year at university, as well as going on all these courses, I shadowed other wedding photographers because I thought maybe that's kind of where I want to go. Maybe that's where the money is in the photography, I thought at the time. So I shadowed like 3 different people who were lovely and all gave me that experience to come along and shadow them and work with them for a day. And they said, look, you can use the photos for your portfolio, and which I did. So I did those 3 weddings, and then the first wedding I ever did solo was actually, I graduated, and that was like 2015. I did my first wedding solo by myself, charged 200 quid.
What year was the £200 wedding?
2015.
Wow. That
for a full day.
But
come on.
That is one of those things that shadowing photography, we'll get to the £200 thing in a minute, but shadowing photographers is huge plus. Like McQuillan Photography, Chester based, Matt, who runs that company, he's in a very similar position in terms of wants to be creative, and he's really gregarious. And shadowing him, I learned so much within about 2-3 weddings. And it's almost like it's a school itself, isn't it? Shadowing.
Absolutely. And I felt like I was just a sponge and soaking it all in. Because for me, I guess being a wedding photographer, it's partly you're there with the camera and you're there to capture the moments. But I didn't realise how much pressure there is to get it right and to be around 150 people, to navigate that many people and to corral everybody together. And you have to be a bit gobby to kind of get, and there's that fine line between you can't be really bossy and you also can't be really timid and quiet. You need to have that kind of, for me, over the years, I guess I've changed the way that I kind of interact with people, but it's very much you have to be great with people, great in groups.
But then being a bit of a, not dictator, but a captain of the ship kind of thing. You need to steer it,
Absolutely, totally. And I feel like I am steering the ship the whole day and almost being like a wedding planner throughout the day.
What was that like on the first wedding then?
Oh, I was so nervous. and it was just me, and I think there was 150 people. And they wanted like confetti shot, a big group photo, and I'm like, just like, whoa, how the hell do I do this? And I just found my voice, I think, and I've always been quite confident, being in bands and stuff and playing, and I guess I've always been like a confident person, but I was really, really nervous on that day. But I just had to bring it out of the bag, and I remember trying to corral 150 people, didn't even have a microphone. I ended up getting these small little step ladders and like standing on these 2 little step ladders and like shouting at everybody to get together. And everyone was like, after the wedding day, everyone was like, you've done so well trying to get everybody together, and you've done it in such a friendly, lovely way. It's
but
like
in your mind, there's a way of being
so nervous,
friendly but stern at the same time.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like a proper alchemy, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's you have to get it right. And I think when I've been working with other people in the industries, we work together before, and I've worked with other people, other photographers before on gigs, and I've worked with other videographers, and I see their kind of demeanour, and they're kind of just really strict and abrupt.
The energy they're putting out, it feels quite small, doesn't it?
Oh, and I'm like, can't be like that.
Well, just think about like Napoleon Bonaparte. He was a short guy, but he ended up being the Emperor of France. You know, that's something that the aspect of corralling people, from my point of view, it wasn't photography or video. It was telling 200 kids in a screening of Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter, I think it was 2001.
Yeah.
That the film's delayed, or there's broken, or the reel's broken. So that is a huge kind of stepping stone in terms of energy. And I worked in retail as well, and you've got to be the bearer of bad news or be stern. So was that like, did you have that in you? And just to kind of talk about your niche a little bit, did you have a thought in your mind, because you're a woman, you might be looked at differently? Oh, who's this photographer? And getting your voice, did you have this thought in your mind? You had to shout twice as
totally.
double
I know, like the first couple of weddings I did, I had like men there, whether it was the uncles or whatever, like partners or something, like coming over to me being like, do you want me to shout for you? And I'm like, it's okay, I can do it, you know? Like feeling that like I can't do that and I can't control the situation. And even still to this day, I'll have people kind of undermine me to feel like I can't do it. And then when I actually do it, and I guess it's like a conductor conducting these big moments and having to get everybody together. And they're saying that like I couldn't do it. But then when they see me in action, it's like, oh yeah, you know, hats off to you. You can fully do it.
It's kind of it's like a level of some of it. It's not necessarily, oh, I don't believe in this person, or I'm sexist or anything. It's just like making a judgment call straight away.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
And I do feel that like when I first started out in the photography industry, and the majority of people that I shadowed, it was very much male photographers, and it was men who were, I guess, like in the 40s and 50s doing it, and I just thought that was it. And when I first started out as well, I went to loads of networking events, and again, I was the only female in the room, I was the youngest person there, and it's a very like daunting place to be. Because as well, when you're trying to promote your business, I was putting myself in all these different situations to try and promote myself. And I was, like, I don't know, over 10 years ago, like the youngest female, like in the room with loads of men in suits and networking. And I don't think that was the right situation for me to be in. But that's the
superpower you have. Like sometimes where I'm in a production meeting with, in my regular work as a marketing kind of head on me.
Yeah.
When you've got people that don't necessarily understand video or marketing, it's some people are afraid of, oh, I'm going to come across the wrong way, or because I've got my bosses here, I'm going to trip myself up. You really got to put yourself out there. Sometimes people are scared of that energy. Scared of other people having that energy out there.
Yeah.
And when I walked into a room, and I used to be super nervous and timid and whatever.
I don't believe that for a second now.
It's like I used to be the person that, and Will, a very good friend of mine from uni, I used to turn to Pumpkin at about 1 o'clock in the morning when I'd sobered up and I wanted to disappear. And sometimes it used to be like that with video stuff, but I kind of revel in it now. There's a scene in a movie called Clear and Present Danger, where the president's advised, the president's friend is murdered on a boat, and he's involved with these drug dealers and all of this. And the advice he's given is lean into the thing, saying we were lifelong friends, go the other way, so they've got no avenue to kind of attack you on. And my approach is lean into the awkwardness, lean into where my weaknesses are, and then develop skills to kind of combat that.
Definitely.
So it's that when you realise you can do that, it's a superpower. And from your point of view, it's like that room full of men. You've got to realise that's your superpower. That's, the Nelly.
Yes, totally. And people recognise you for that. Like, even like I'll walk down the streets or go to town, they'll I'll recognise you. And it might be from like 6 years ago because I went to a networking event, but I stood out, and I did put myself in a lot of situations where, it's uncomfortable. But yeah, I think you have to do that. But I think now, I do think like as a wedding photographer, I think people buy people, and this is a whole thing. And as well as like, I do think my work's great now, and you have to back up your work, and you have to love what you do. And no point in talking down about your work. I think like, I love my images and I love what I do. And I think the wedding photography is great. But also people buy into me, as well as like selling my photography, that it's colourful and vibrant and it's fun, and I specialise in gay weddings. It's like people will also be attracted to me. It's like the whole package, isn't it? It's like my energy and how I make them feel, and like...
Well, I'll give you props on that, because at the end of the wedding you and I worked on in Yorkshire, I wanted to be your friend at the end of that, because I thought, Nelly's just awesome. Oh, here's the photographer. There's a whole there's a weirdness, and I'll be honest that it wasn't you, but it was like, oh God, right, working together, you got to get past that awkwardness. Where's the photographer going to be? All of that, and that was eased instantly. And then you were just awesome. I wanted you on this because, oh yeah, Nelly's great. She does photography. That's the reason to have you on this.
Yes.
But it's like, I wanted you on this because you're awesome. So that was the main reason, really.
And you're awesome too. And I feel like we really like got along there at that wedding. And, it was such a busy wedding to be at. And I think I've worked with some videographers before, and it has been quite a challenge. And I think
they try and dictate to you.
Totally.
Oh, you're going to be over there.
Yes.
Or whatever, yeah.
Or you'll be at the back of the room and I'll be at the front. And it's like, no. Like, we just kind of totally worked together and gelled, didn't we?
Exactly, yeah.
But we were talking about the niche and getting into the niche market. But...
So what would you say it's not like it feels like a stand... What would you say it feels like a standing question? What's your niche?
So, yes, my niche or unique selling point, USP, is... Yeah, I started specialising in LGBT weddings, I guess in 2013, 2014. And for me, I guess shall I tell you all about how I got
absolutely.
into it?
Yeah.
So the first ever wedding that I did for 200 quid was two.
Oh yeah. Let's bring that back. That's the thing.
Bring it back. Was two guys, Tom and Josh, and they're still together now, which is lovely. I think earlier this year they had like the 9-year anniversary, which was really, really sweet. And I did that wedding, and that was the first wedding I ever did, and it was a gay wedding. But the light bulb moment wasn't then. I then went on to lots of wedding fairs, as you do, with all your stands, and you're going out and you're trying to like advertise yourself. And all these wedding fairs, it was just, here's the bridal suite, it's Mr. and Mrs. this, and big signs everywhere. And on people's portfolios, it was just the bride and groom and this. And I was like, there was nothing for I'd say like 2 or 3 years when I went to these fairs, nothing. And there was no one being kind of like the front leader to kind of include like my community, which like I'm in. And for me,
some people, sorry to cut you off, but some people are afraid to think having a voice, oh, I'm a supporter of this. That I think the way you have carved out a niche for yourself, and I'd say you carved out, because it's so evidently true that there's something kind of another compliment is you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
And some people get offended by the other person having so much passion for what they do. Oh, they're just out supporting gay rights for a virtue signal. But
that's not it.
Exactly. So seeing that at those wedding fairs is a really different perspective to have. And what am I trying to say? Is that having that awareness to carve that out, and it's quite a brave thing to do.
Oh yeah.
Is to look at that and go, right, this is my approach.
Yes.
Because you could have gone down the standard.
Yeah, because you're like, well, that's what everyone else is doing. So let's carry on doing what everyone else was
So
doing.
was it a wedding fair? You saw these things and thought...
Loads of things, yeah, bridal suites, bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs, big signs everywhere. Even all there was like a couple of other photographers and stuff, and they'd have like the bride and groom, they'd have the long dress on, and the guy would be in a suit. And I just thought, and I just kind of unknowingly was, from the few weddings that I've done, already was kind of promoting like gay weddings really. And I just thought, you know, like I'm gay myself, I've got a girlfriend, and I just thought to myself, like, you know, like if I was to get married, I want someone who fully understands me and us, and I want someone who just like is just understanding, who's appreciative of our journey, because it's been really tough to get here.
Yeah.
And I want
and the amount of I'm going to swear, the amount of shit you've gone through.
Oh,
and
God, yeah.
Perception and all this other bullshit that comes with it.
Absolutely. And, you know, abuse. I've had abuse in the streets before, like, and it happens. And it's like, so the fact that we can now get married now, and the legislation came in that we could, well, at first, like, civil partnerships, and then we can now get married. It was just like, oh, wow. Like, there was, and I typed in Google, I remember being like, LGBT photographer, gay wedding photographer, and, like, nothing was coming up. I mean, now, yes, lots of people. This was 10 years ago, mine.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
at the time when I kind of started it and carved out that niche for myself, like, nobody was doing it. And I thought, this is it. Like, I am so passionate about this. And then I went off. I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to advertise at the wedding fairs anymore. I started to get stalls at the gay prides that were happening. So I had stalls in like Manchester Pride, I had
clever.
stalls at Leeds Pride, I had stalls at Hull Pride.
Did you have people from that community coming up to you saying, I'm so glad what you're doing?
They would come over to me and cry. I'd have people come over to me and hug me and be like, I can't actually, like, I'm not even getting married, but I love your photos and I love what you do. And they'd honestly like come over to me being and just hugging me, being like, thank you so much for doing this, because there's just been nothing for years. And I'm like, I know. And yeah, for me, it was just amazing to see. And I thought, that's when I'm going around and having my stalls at all these different pride events and having that reaction from people, I knew that I was doing the right thing, and I knew that I'd have to like follow this through, you know. So
is that something, have you gone to a point now where you're just doing photography?
Yes, oh yeah. I've
That's
been
awesome.
just photography.
I said just, it's, you know, because it's very difficult to make that jump to full-time.
Full-time, solo.
Yeah.
So about 6 years now I've been doing this.
Can you switch off? Or
It's hard to.
Yeah, because you think, oh, that job that might come in.
It's hard to, and I think, like, being with my partner Beth, like, she's, I say training, but they're teaching me how to. She's self-employed as well, so we're both self-employed, and we're both busy, which is great. And I think we kind of do find it hard to switch off. But yeah, it's been really hard to do, because you always think every month my income's different, and I think being self-employed, that is hard. But I think now, yeah, things are busy and things are great, and so I can switch off. But I think when you're first starting out, it's such a worry. I said yes to everything.
Huge.
I was doing the most random jobs in the world just because I was just like, yes, I'll just do it. And it's like, now I just mainly do weddings. I've done 40 this year. It's a lot.
So how far do you book yourself? How far in advance?
A couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yes.
So you,
it's hard to plan
is there a level of comfort you can have from that?
Definitely.
From knowing how many you've got coming up and what the income's going to be?
Definitely, yes. So I can relax a lot more with that. We do have to relax, and it does have to be. We have to force ourselves to relax and just kind of switch off.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I've just got a hot tub, I guess.
I was going to say, let's talk about the hot tub now. We'll leave that for another day.
So we can switch off. But no, I say it's good just to have these things in place, just to switch off. And even going for dog walks, you switch off, and it's important to spend time with your family and friends and do that, because otherwise we could just be working all the time, and it's just not good for you, is it?
It's crazy. And what I wanted to ask you about as well is I don't want to say, what was the state of your business during this period, but before 2020 hit, and we all know what happened then, were you in a good place in terms of your bookings and everything?
I had a summer, and when I fully booked summer, and then Boris was like, oh yeah, weddings are cancelled. It was like the first thing that was going to be cancelled.
So what did you do to, because that obviously from
hit massively.
So the hit, what did you do to kind of keep your mind kind of creative during that period?
Yeah, so that was a really difficult time, and I think lots of people could take the business online, and I was thinking, could I take my business online? Like, I just can't. Mine is so much in person. I cannot do that. So yeah, I think I sat around for about a couple of weeks, and I was like, I cannot sit around forever.
It must be heightened for you though, because you know, when you run your own business. I was working for a university, and I was doing tech support, so our work went up, and the whole, am I being supported by the government? Am I being supported by my partner? And everything must have been heightened when you run your own business. So
totally. And the government was there, and I did get some grants and stuff because I had like over 5 years tax returns. So you got the grants and stuff, like, which was great, but you know, it wasn't the income that I was kind of used to getting, really.
Yeah,
so
absolutely
you just kind of it was trickling it in, which was fine. But I ended up doing loads of web design anyway during COVID. I just put it out there that I could do websites and some technical stuff. And also I kept myself very busy. I mean, I've got ADHD as well. I struggle to sit still for long.
That's fine. All it is, if we fast forward this, it'd be like you twitching like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah, like hands. But I thought, I'm a photographer, and my degree was in photography. We did a lot of history of the history of photography and loads of documentary photographers, and I was like, I need to do something to document this time, as I feel like I need to be a documentary photographer.
Would you say it was like it was like therapy for yourself as well?
Oh God, yeah. So I went out and I did doorstep portraits for families, and I photographed over 150 families on their doorstep, and it was kind of just kind of capturing the moment. And I've just got this amazing catalogue of gorgeous photos with the families being different, like looking different, like the buildings and the houses looking different. And I would go and chat to them, social distancing, give them a knock, they'd come stand outside.
Social distancing.
Oh God.
I haven't heard that for a while.
I know, but you had to do that, and I'd be standing apart.
Did you have do you know, like with a bridal shot or a organised shot, and there's a shot we'll talk about specific photos in a bit about your career. Was there kind of like, how am I going to photograph this? Or was it like, this is how the documentary filmmaker, I'll turn up, see what I've got there?
Yes.
What was your kind of approach?
Totally, I just turned up, had no idea what the house was going to be like or anything, and I'm quite used to like posing families. So yeah, it was like, if they've had like a big door, they'd be like leaning in the door. If they had big steps, we'd sit them on the steps. If there was a lovely gate, I'd shoot through the gate. Like,
we're going to show some of these photos now. I'm pointing at the camera.
Yeah.
My favourite is, because I'll tell you which one my favourite is. I think it's an amazing idea. When you see this, and we'll show some of the photos now, it's such a wonderful idea that to capture that. It's therapy for you, but it's also a nice little kind of keepsake for them. My favourite is when there's a family, it's a tight staircase, and they're sat on the steps behind each other.
Yes.
And it's like, it's got a handrail on the stairs as well. And I love it because it's like, there's limited space, and what do you do? And it kind of like we talked about 50mm lens before we started. It forces you into certain compositions, or forces you to think a bit more, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's being creative, and just as a photographer, videographer, you'll know we see things like differently, and I just see everything as a challenge. I'm like, there was one shot which we'll have to kind of show, and the alleyway I think was full of loads of stuff, so we couldn't do that, and you couldn't get through to the front door.
Bins and stuff.
Bins, everything. Anyway, so they had the bedroom above. There was like the bay window at the bottom. They could get out onto the roof, so they sat on like the roof of like the top, so they were like in the middle of the house, and I went across the road and photographed that.
That's incredible.
And it was like, let's just go on the roof, let's just do it.
You always think that in a disaster movie they always climb on the roof to get rescued with a helicopter.
Yeah,
that's
but
amazing.
they loved it, and they told me a great story actually. A couple that I photographed on the roof, they planned a big wedding, they were going to get married, it's all got cancelled, and they actually got married and did like everything over Zoom, and
the whole ceremony.
Wow. And they did it in the living room, just those two, and I just heard some fantastic stories. And I mean, one day I think I'd love to do a big exhibition about it all, but I think, the time's passed now. I should have done it maybe straight away. But
it's one of those things that I think you and I got through it in different ways. Like with my film festival and you with your Doorstep. So say Doorstep challenge then.
It was a challenge.
But it's you kind of think, oh, that would have been a better idea, or stocking up on selling expensive toilet roll would have been a great idea.
Yes.
You know, but you can't kind of beat yourself up too much about that.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful idea, and I would say that'd make a great exhibition at a gallery.
Totally. And I thought it'd be great to have it like as an exhibition, and then you could almost go around. I mean, I could go back and, I don't know, at the time, I wish I almost had like a recorder and recorded kind of like the stories of like their lockdown experience and what they've done and the highs and the lows, and because people just got really creative with just loads of things.
Isn't it amazing that, you know, the constraints we talked about with equipment or whatever, or constraints in budget, people's just started. Some people went the other way and like just lived in a hole because it was very difficult everything was failing and people losing their businesses. But isn't it amazing how some people just like it bloomed into like, right, what can I do to not necessarily keep my business, but to keep my mind occupied?
Absolutely. And you just, even if it's just taking up a new hobby or doing something crafty at home or getting into cooking if you're not even interested in cooking, or you just think outside the box really, like, which is good. But that kept me occupied during COVID. But thankfully, I do feel like some of my photography friends like did struggle and they've not made it out of that. But
given it up.
Yes, and I'm literally just gonna do. You know, I was just trying to do everything in my power just to keep it going. And thankfully, a lot of my clients actually were like, we still want to stay with you, and they had a remaining balance, and they'd pay it off and say, we're going to sort out the wedding no matter what. We know we owe you, like, say, £1,000. Here you go, we'll pay it off. And like, that's how lovely the clients are. They were like, if you need this money, we'll pay it off, because even though they had to rearrange the whole entire wedding, they knew that whatever date it was going to be, they still wanted me to be the photographer, so they were happy to kind of like still pay me.
That's incredible, because there's obviously, if you're not savvy enough, you don't have that business acumen, you'll live off projections of what you're going to get paid.
Yes.
So that's where a lot of kind of companies that's the window side. That's where a lot of companies kind of fell short or kind of tripped up over themselves, was because they didn't have the kind of planning in mind. No one knew that was going to happen, but
I felt like it just happened overnight, didn't it?
Oh my God. I thought it was going to be the end of the world. I literally thought it was going to be the end of the world. But like Quentin Jaws, he says, I never wear a life jacket. Yeah. I never want to have another jab, because I was in intensive care. I've had all the jabs I ever want. And
it must have been so scary.
Yeah, I can't see us ever going back to that, because financially for the world it's not.
Oh no.
But it's a crazy situation. Talking about creativity.
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you about some specific things in weddings. Mm-hmm. So, because you've been doing, how long have you been doing weddings for now?
9 years.
So how have you kept that? How have you kept that fresh? Because it can be, this is the formula. These are the shots. This is the Last Supper. I call it the Last Supper shot. You know, the long table.
Yes.
And I do that during a live stream thing I do every 6 months. And there's thousands of people there. And there's a Last Supper shot because it looks like the Last Supper.
Brilliant.
So how do you kind of keep things fresh?
Totally. And great question. I think with the couples that I have, they are not traditional weddings. So there's not that formality there. I am so surprised and get so excited how like every single client of mine and every single couple, their weddings are so different to one another. You know, one could be in a warehouse and having a live band and having a burrito van. Like another one could be like in a teepees with like, you know, hog roast outside and a ceilidh dance or something. And everyone's wearing bright colours and they're wearing awesome suits. And like, so I just think for me, the clients that I kind of, I guess, come to me, because I guess my quirky style and like what I specialise in and things, it keeps it fresh every single time.
It's
just
nice to
with
see
like the difference, how different the weddings are.
It's nice to see what people bring to their own. Okay, it's not like you're going to say, oh, what are you bringing to your own wedding? It's like, it's really fascinating, like you say, the kind of different types of food or the approach to music, or whether
the
they're going to
different
dance.
entertainment, what they're wearing, even like the size of the wedding. Are they going to have a small wedding? Is it going to be like intimate, or is it going to be like absolutely massive? The venues, there's so much variety with venues these days. Like, I think if a wedding photographer was like, even like 15 years ago, or I look back at my parents' wedding photos, it was like, you're getting married in a church and there's these formalities and all of this. Like, even people now, they don't even cut the cake or have a first dance. It's like they'll have one song and get everyone on the dance floor. And I just think
you need to pull that structure apart a bit.
Absolutely. And I think I've enjoyed doing that, like, over the years. And even like, I'll give ideas to couples and stuff about, I ask them about their wedding day and I want them to tell me every single detail, because that way I feel like I'm really part of it. And you know, I give them ideas and get excited by it. And yeah, for me, I think that's keeping it fresh. It's just so far from the traditional wedding.
Have you got any kind of Nelly shots? Because I saw one where I tell you one that Matt McQuillan showed me, or I kind of like not butchered, but like, I want to do this because it's a great idea. And it was getting the bride and the bridesmaids, or the groom and the groomsmen, and getting them to walk towards me but nudge each other at the same time. So that ends up being nudge each other and the smiles appear. What's it? Hopefully you can remember this one. There was something with a pint of beer. Yes,
I like to do games at the weddings. So I think that's great, nudging everybody, but like getting people to run and have that movement like in the photos, I think is so good. So yeah, I had this idea that everyone was kind of like up on this bank, and it was like not too steep, but I was at the bottom and bought a pint and a wine glass, large wine, and got all the guests up there, and I said, right, everybody run to the camera, and the first one to get it like gets the free pint basically. And everyone was just up for it, and those photos are just hilarious. In fact, I wish you were there to do the video as well.
Is it the whole group?
Yes.
Wow.
So it was like, what, I think we had like 70 guests running for a pint and running for a glass of wine, and it was just hilarious.
Where's the sweet spot in that photo? In terms of when you start, obviously you can, with cameras now, you can blitz the entire thing.
Yes.
Almost like a video. But where's the sweet spot in that kind of photo?
Oh, I think like when they were coming towards the camera, and I always use like my 50 anyway, so a couple of meters away from me, as they're grabbing it, and you're just getting the action and like the
drooling,
like, you know, going for the drink. And it's just those sorts of things, and doing games and props as well, even if it's like colourful rainbow smoke grenades or something like in the air, and like getting people to flare those. Or I get creative with long exposure, like LED lights, and do every wedding. And this is how I keep it fresh for myself as well. I make sure that I do something different every single time. Like I do a new creative idea every wedding that I do, and that's
great.
Excites me. Whether that's like I say, using long exposure, whether it's using like off-camera flash in umbrellas, whether I'm like doing smoke grenades, or whether it's just like lying down on the floor and shooting up and getting everyone looking at me, or the other way around, or getting them, you know, like throw the bride in the air or something. I don't know.
Where do you kind of get your inspiration for that kind of thing?
I think
do you see photos?
I see photos. I also have my own ideas, I guess. I know like the long exposure and the off-camera flash thing. I see other photographers doing that, and then I see that as inspiration. Then I think, how can I do it my way? Yeah. And you know,
I love that. I really love that, because
I think that's how I keep it fresh. And do you know what? I get this comment quite a lot. Especially like over this past like couple of years, when it's been busy again, and I always get like the mum and dad or something coming over to me being like, oh, you're so like passionate about it, like have you only been doing it a couple of years? And I said, no, I've been doing it like nearly 10 years now. And they're like, I cannot believe it, because I think sometimes like my passion for my job is like still gets me excited to this day. Like every wedding I'm like buzzing to do, because I'm just like get creative, do these different ideas, like just being around everybody, like it's just fun.
Because a lot of people think, when it's kind of like with Frida, you know, with having a puppy or a new dog, they're so excitable. Then after 2 to 3 years, they kind of
calm out.
Yeah, and then when you see that stuffy kind of look of a photographer and stale, there's something like there's an energy drop to it. And I think they're more open-minded with those ideas of being creative because you have the enthusiasm, the energy.
Definitely.
And that's something you have. It's that constant, and that's one of the most difficult
It's a hype
things.
woman. I am a hype woman for the whole day. And yeah, I love it, but don't get me wrong, it's exhausting. Like, say after a full wedding day, like, I'll need to go back and, like, decompress, lay down in a dark room, and just be like, I loved it, and it was great, but I bring
get those candles out,
Oh, yeah, get a bath, and it's just, like, I need to decompress, because it is, like, it's like you're on stage the whole day, and just conducting everybody, bringing the energy. But, you know, I do love it, and that is part of me, you know. That is my personality, like, I guess, having that energy. But yeah, it's a long, when you're doing 12 hours of that, it's long. What's
the kind of I want to touch upon favourite photos, and we'll show some of those now. We'll have photos throughout and little snippets of things. What's your kind of I want to say the best and worst. What's your worst kind of experience as, from your point of view, experience from, it doesn't have to be a wedding, from a photography gig. You don't have to name names, but what kind of...
I think, I guess, worst experience, I don't know, I'm trying to think, the first thing that's come to my head is, I think often, especially at weddings, when people get quite drunk later on, like in the evening, having like lots of men drunk like around me, just like, you know, some people being a little bit like inappropriate, or they're just trying to like grab my camera off me, or like wanted to take photos of me, and at that point I'm like, I just feel uncomfortable, like in this position, I've got thousands and thousands of pounds worth of equipment, and you've just got drunken people around you, like wanting to take my camera away, spilling drinks nearly on it and things like that, and I just feel like really uncomfortable in that situation. And that's why, like, I always say to my clients, like, I mean, I love a party and I love a drink myself, don't get me wrong, but I think at weddings people are drinking all day and they just get silly and stupid like later on.
It gets
too much.
Sometimes you can have like I've been at events where you've got a group of, you know, teams of rugby players, they're really drunk, but it's really positive energy, and it's not that they're used to drinking, but they are, it's kind of, they know their limits, and when it turns aggressive,
that's it.
Or sometimes it can be a conflict within the families at a wedding.
Yes,
it can get really aggressive. So yeah, I can see why that would be kind of a worst experience.
Yeah, so it's kind of, right, I'm going to take myself away from the situation now. So like, I'll always say to clients, look, we'll photograph the first dance. I tend to stay for like half an hour after that, so I can capture people on the dance floor having a good time, because they're always great, candid, great shots. I'll probably stay and have a pint after and just like relax with them and have a drink as well, which is nice.
What's your pumpkin moment where, right, you start looking at your watch and want to go?
Yeah, I'd say like 8:30, done.
Yeah, 8:30, okay.
8:30, 9,
ready
to go. Because after that point, everyone gets too drunk, too inappropriate, Larry, too loud, and I'm just like, I just think they don't need a camera around them at that point. It's like it's time to go now.
That's so true.
And also, I've been working since 8 o'clock in the morning, so like,
you're
it's a long
saving
day.
the face for them.
Absolutely.
So do you ever have moments where, oh, you're not staying any longer? Do you ever have that?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, even if it's in the contract to say that I'm going to be there like 10 hours, 12 hours, some people do expect me to stay like right till midnight. And I think having that rapport for the day is lovely, and people do want me to stay, and they're like, look, stay over, we'll get you a hotel room and you can stay here. And I'm like, do you know what, like, as lovely as that is, and I'd like to be part of the celebration, I have been part of the celebration all day and I'm just knackered, and I need to go home.
You kind of need that separation though as well from a client.
Totally, definitely.
Because if you stayed overnight and something like you saw an argument or you're a witness, it all gets very weird.
Totally. And don't get me wrong, like, I have a lot of clients that have become very close friends of mine, but that's kind of like after the wedding day, you know. But yeah, I just think definitely there's a time, and I think you have to be professional and just say, like, enough's enough now, let's leave. And it's good for them, it's good for me. They don't need a camera in their face all night.
There is a strength, and that having that strength of, I've had it with clients before with video stuff at weddings or corporate things. Oh, you're not going to stay till the end of this thing.
Yes.
And it's pre-agreed. The power of kind of saying no as well.
Absolutely, and that's hard.
It really is difficult. And what would you say your best moment at a wedding is, or something maybe personal, or where you felt actually included? Because it's like, oh yeah, you're part of the wedding.
Yes.
But you know you're not, because you want to keep this separate bubble around you a work thing.
Yes, true. And lots of my clients, they always say, can we get you a place at the table, do you know, for the wedding breakfast and things like that. And I think that's really sweet, and I do like it when they do that. And I love, you know, like the big place card that says like your name's on the tables and my name will be there. And like, I love it when clients will put me down at a table, and I do like that. You know, sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no. It depends how long the day is, because sometimes I like to have like an hour just to kind of decompress and have time for myself, rather than having to like make conversation again for like a few hours. But then sometimes I really like it, and I think it's lovely when they've, you know, made me a little name card placement, and they've given me a little favour, and it's engraved with my name on it, or something.
Lego
people. That was cute.
I've still got my little Lego figure from the wedding.
I do. I have mine in my office.
You still got yours, yeah. That's brilliant.
So it's really sweet, isn't it, when they think of that? And I think that is when you include it. And I think this is the thing. It's such a personal day, and to be a wedding photographer, you do have to kind of it's such a just personal day, and you have to be part of it, and you really are thrown into the whole day, whether that's from like getting ready right at the beginning to sitting down with all the guests and sitting down with the auntie and uncle and the friends and chatting with them all. Like, I probably speak to every single one of the guests at a wedding, probably more so than like the actual couple.
That
you know,
must be that is a wonderful thing, but
it's hard.
It's the energy sap.
Exactly.
Because everyone wants to know about the camera, or there's kids that want to know about the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Or there's someone that knows photography but doesn't really.
And they want to chat about it for an hour.
Or they want to use that, you know, their little flip out flash on their cameras.
Oh, gosh.
In a giant
worse.
room. Yeah, yes. That's the worst. So what would you say, before we move on to your kind of favourite shots, or favourite photography, you know, across what you've done, is what are some of the... Sorry, I've just been ill. I've been ill for the last week or so. I'm past that now.
You're fresh now. Look how fresh you are in your jazzy shirt now.
But what are kind of some of the habits you try and stay away from that you see other photographers doing at weddings?
Oh, in terms of like the final product, or like
final product, or because obviously you're keeping things fresh. But what do you see in other photographers that you think, you know what, I'm going to improve upon that?
Oh, I mean, we hate sepia photos.
Oh my God, yeah.
Can we chat about that just for like 10
please.
seconds? Oh God, I mean, even that like 10 years ago, like black and white photos, sepia photos, really dark photos were a thing.
I think...
And I steered a full, so far away from that. Like, you'll see from my photos, they're just so vibrant and colourful and bright, and you can always capture, I feel like I capture the energy of the couple. And I kind of have some, you know, high vibrant saturated edits on them and stuff like that, but that is my like signature style. And when I was getting into it, and especially from, you know, shadowing the photographers, their style was very much like black and white, sepia tones, and I was like, I felt like that was it.
It's like those headshots you see at barbers. Yes. Really stale and old photos.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah, I always think that. Like, if I show you my name badge for work, it's actually a photo that was taken at this background with a backdrop that a friend of mine brought all his gear, and I use that because people just accept or don't necessarily know what they want, or sometimes there's an idea that the photographer knows best, but if you keep an open mind,
yes,
you see what they want. But it's kind of a bit of a negotiation. Is sometimes like you'll come up with some of these ideas, but you don't necessarily want to tell them everything as well.
Totally. And lots of clients will come to you being like, I've seen this on Pinterest, and like send me like loads of things, and I'm like,
it's more of a confidence thing for them though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm like, great, I'll take that idea, and then, you know, then I'll kind of run with it. You nullify it, yeah, which is great.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's nice, and I do encourage people to do that, because I'm like, if people send me stuff on Pinterest, it also gives me an idea of kind of what they're going to be up for. Like, if they're like sending me photos where like they're being chucked in the air and stuff like that, I'm like, they're up for this, to do something a bit quirky and a bit different.
Exactly. You kind of get that from that pre-meeting, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
So do you do a pre-wedding photo shoot, like in a park or something?
I mean, I used to. I still do, but it's kind of like an added extra thing now.
Yeah.
Because it does take a lot of time.
It's a separate shoot, really, as well.
It's a separate shoot, and it's separate time. And it used to be all included, but now that's kind of like extra if you do
you've
want
gone you've come far from that £200 wedding.
I really have.
So, is there shots that you no, like the group stuff's obviously important.
Yes.
And it's
and
more for
formal.
extended. It's,
more for the parents and grandparents.
Exactly, yeah.
They want that nice formal photo where they're all in the line looking pretty on a fireplace. Like, that's what they want.
Yeah, that's pretty much what my parents have. And in the photo that Matt took, it looks like my mother's got a single leg. And it looks like because your foot's behind the other foot. And it looks like it's been photoshopped out. It's real. And then I pointed it out to her. It's like, why did you tell me that? I said, I can put another foot in and redo the print if you want.
Yeah, just Photoshop like a foot in.
So, what are your favourite shots that you've done recently? Or what, have you got a kind of a...
Do you know what? It's
have you
hard
got
to
shots? It's really difficult to ask because I've got one or two shots I'm really happy with that I took with a 40mm lens in London.
Ooh.
And it's a really specific low angle thing.
Yeah, low angles.
So what have you got any kind of favourite shots of what you've done, your career?
Do you know, it's so hard because I honestly feel like I've just got thousands and thousands and thousands. I mean, each wedding I do, they have like, 1,500 final edited photos. I've done 40 this year, 30 the year before that. Think of how many thousands of final photos I've got. Like, it's just a crazy catalogue to choose from.
But you could say maybe we can think of a top 5, and you could pick one from Doorstep. What did you call it?
The Doorstep portraits or the Doorstep challenge.
Doorstep portraits. I'm thinking of Daz adverts. Do you know what I mean?
So I've started to use this only like this past year or the past 18 months, including a drone.
Okay.
In the photos, because I realised I'm really small, and for me, getting a group shot, it's like, do I either hang out of a window and get everybody
That's
like
the classic, yeah.
Classic, hanging out of a window, just like get everybody together and say, right, just wait 5 minutes whilst I just climb through like this
it's like a Benny Hill thing. You start zipping up the stairs.
Yes, for them. Then I get there really sweaty. I'm really struggling to open the window. I'm hanging out.
Then people don't know where you are.
Yeah, then they're looking around, and then like because I've been 5 minutes, like someone's gone off to the loo, and I'm like, oh god, it's really frustrating. So, I got a drone. I thought, what a fantastic idea for someone who's really small, because for me, it's all about in the group shot is to capture each individual face. So I really enjoyed using that this year in the photos that I've got from the group shots, and I can do a bit of video on it, but it's also really great resolution. I think it's like 4K just on a still.
What did you buy?
Just a DJI Mini.
Okay, cool. Yeah, they're great. Yeah,
just great. It's light, flies in the air, and do you know what? It gets such a great reaction because I get everybody together, and I'm like, and everyone's like, "Where's it going to come from?" I said, "Right, it's going to be a drone in the air," and everyone goes, "Woo!"
Yeah. Oh, it's a drone.
Oh, it's a drone. And then the amount of people that want to come and chat to me after about it, like, which is sweet, but and it's great. So, and then I get that in the air. I either get like the venue in the background, so it means I can get the whole venue in the background, everybody looking up, so it can show you some of those like photos and stuff. I'm really, really pleased with the quality and like the resolution and like just capturing everybody's faces and the hands in the air. It's such a joyful image, so I really think that that's been like a great thing this year.
What we'll do is, whilst we're talking about this, we can literally show a montage of them.
Oh,
so,
clever.
Yeah. So just think about it. Yeah.
Who's a filmmaker, you know?
No, it's like shoot to edit. So like with when it comes to lighting and that kind of thing or shooting, try and get to that point, that glorious point of doing minimal post, because
yes.
doing post work. Do you kind of, how do you, what's your kind of procedure? Do you back up the same night?
Absolutely. I kind of, it just gives me anxiety. I think
because you're not finished. You're not finished at 8:30 or whatever your cut-off is.
Yeah.
You're not finished then.
So I tend to have my laptop in the car. And if I'm driving home, it might be an hour and a half, sometimes a little bit longer, sometimes a little bit shorter. But my laptop will kind of be full charged, and I have a hard drive and stuff. Put the SD card in and back everything up before the time I get home.
That's the savvy move, because it's like this.
So when I'm home, it's like decompress, done. I know that everything's backed up. And for me, like I can't go to sleep really until it's all been backed up.
No, that's so true. Like even when we're recording this, it's just like, oh god, right, hopefully it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then backing up in 2 different places, and it's
hard.
It can be completely crazy.
Yeah.
So have you got any photos that you're most proud of? Because I know it's extremely difficult.
It's extremely difficult. I think the ones that kind of show my signature style, which is just the bright, colourful, vibrant. I mean, there's one, as soon as you go on my website, 2 ladies that got married in Durham. And it was Durham Pride, actually. I think like the month before, but they've kept like these rainbow umbrellas down this whole high street, and kept these rainbow umbrellas
I know the
up
one.
there.
Yeah, I love that.
And it just looks so awesome. So I did like this low angle, and we just came across it. We didn't even go out to find it. We were just going around and actually taking some photos down near the river. And then like we walked up through like the shopping mall, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like, do you know when I think for me, it's those moments where like you didn't expect it, and then it's just happened.
I think that's almost like a documentary approach.
Yeah, because I'm always on the lookout for like looking for things like, and I don't think like, I mean, 8 years ago, I think like I used to plan everything to a T, the timings, I'd write down the shots that I'd be doing. And now I go in with more of a relaxed approach. Actually, I can't plan anything.
That's an experience thing, big time. But when it comes to doing
just
photos,
finding things naturally, I just think is the best thing.
Exactly, and then textures and all sorts of stuff.
Yes, exactly. Like I'll see like a random kind of aluminium wall with like a splash of colour on or something, and I'm like, and it's like on a car park, and someone's like, really, you're going to make a good photo of that? I'm like, no, it's going to look amazing.
Yeah, like I saw when I did a wedding once, I saw two, it was like, it sounds so grim, two abandoned porcelain toilets.
Ooh.
And I posed a photo around that. I thought, I said, just trust me.
Yeah, exactly. You have to say that because they can't see like the final vision.
Yeah, they were clean, by the way. They weren't dirty toilets.
But like, yeah, seeing, you're totally right, the different textures, the different colours. And for me, the biggest thing is how the sun is during the day and the light. Yeah. So like, I will give kind of clients a heads up, being like, by the way, like, if you're sitting down for a meal and like the light, like that golden hour is just, it's gonna, basically we have 5 minutes to get it, because it could then go behind a cloud and the whole contrast of light is different.
And then it's grim.
And you're like, oh, we missed that window of opportunity. So you have to like always look out for like, you know, how the light is and the shadows and like the contrast and things. So like, I'll just be like, right now is the point that I'm halfway through a brownie, I'm like, we need to go, let's go. And like my clients are so up for it, they're like dead excited. I'm like, because I get so excited about the light, they're like, yeah, let's go. And we get like this most gorgeous golden hour contrast of light, and it was gone in 5 minutes. You know, if we didn't go out then, we would have missed it, we didn't have the opportunity.
Would you say there's a period of time where it's difficult to answer, but when you started off, obviously did you say that, oh, this is your first wedding? And at what point during your kind of photographic career did you feel as though you were being trusted a bit more?
Oh, I think, yeah, good question. I think the first one, I don't think I said it was my first wedding. I think it's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it, if I said it's my first ever one?
Yeah.
And I just also wanted to appear, I guess, more confident than I actually was. So, like, I just think, don't say that, because if you get that in your narrative in your own head, being like, this is my first ever wedding, then you're going to feel more nervous. So
it's almost the worst thing to say, isn't it?
Yeah, so I was just like, no, just avoid that. But yeah, I think being more trusted is, I guess, other photographers coming to me for advice, for coming for me for like ideas and like certain situations, how to deal with clients. Like I get people coming to me and asking me loads of questions. And also clients literally just saying to me, look, we've seen your website, we've seen your reviews, we've seen everything, like, we trust you, we're not going to tell you anything, just do what you do. And like, that for me is like the best thing when clients say that, because I'm like, they're giving me full reign to just be creative and do my thing. And like,
that's awesome. That's really
the best
awesome
thing.
And you can see real progression in what you're doing.
Totally.
And it's like, you know, you can develop the technical skills and awareness, and it's
and
really...
that for me is not the technical side of things. I get excited by, like, even coming here today with you and seeing all your gear and the lighting. I know that I can push that so much more. So for me, that's like keeping, I know that, like, they'll do more off-camera flash stuff, more lighting, like even like softboxing. Like, there's so many things that I can do to like make just progress with my work and take it to like a whole new level. So I just feel like I'm constantly learning all the time as well, and I'm up for learning and like geeking out over gear and everything. Like that's exciting. So
I'm going to ask you a couple of last things before we finish, because we've got a few minutes now. I think you've maybe progressed past this in terms of teams. Who are the Bakewell ladies, and what's it like being in a band?
So yeah, we chat about that actually at the wedding. So I did play for Bakewell ladies football team for a bit. They were in, it was only like Division 2 or something. So we played there. But I just, me and my partner were both playing on the football team. We've loved football ever since we were little, both of us. And then I've been playing in teams when I was younger. And I was like, you know what, I need to get back into that. But anyway, we don't play for Bakewell Ladies anymore. We now play for She Unites, which plays on a Wednesday, actually, this evening. Recreational, 7-a-side, AstroTurf pitches, and it's just good fun. It's ladies of all different ages.
Feels very welcoming for people.
Oh, it's so lovely. And also not different ages, different abilities. The people who have been in bigger teams before. There's people who are coming to play football for the first time. And it's just good fun, and we'll go to the pub after and have a pint. And
that's what it's about, isn't it?
I think that's
community in that, yeah.
More what I'm after than training twice a week and playing every weekend. Yeah. I thought, if I was 18 again, I'd do that, but I'm not, and I just feel like I just wanted it more relaxed.
Yeah, I've gone to that point now where it's like I can't have a session of drinking because I'm like done.
Yeah,
I'm so done.
Yeah,
and you play drums in a band, right?
I play all sorts of different instruments. I've actually only played drums for a couple of years. I used to play guitar for. I did my first ever gig on guitar when I was like 13 with my guitar teacher. So I was in a cover band playing guitar, but recently moved on to drums. Yes, I'm in a band. We do covers. Undercover, we're called. Very original. If you think of a new name for the band, drop it in the comments.
Okay, we'll definitely have that with people reaching out.
But yeah, I love that, and I think we were talking about switching off and things like that, and I think it's really important to have like these different hobbies in place so that if you're self-employed, that we can switch off and play football or just socialise with some friends, or we can switch off and let's go play music and just have a great time and just smash out some drums and get the energy. You just feel great after. And for me, playing live music has always been part of my life. It always will be part of my life.
Get that rage out on it.
Absolutely. Rage Against the Machine.
Well, thank you very much, Nelly, for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Star. I feel like we could have chat for like another 2 hours about all sorts. And
anything you can think of, because you can see that I was suggesting I need to think of like an idea for a table or something to add some plants in or something like that.
Oh, some nice greenery would be lovely. Yeah. A little circular table here for some teas.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be good, yeah.
And then some maybe like nice draping natural plants.
Yeah, I think we'll do something like that. But thanks, Nelly, for being on the show. Is there anything you want to promote, or where can people find you?
Oh, so yes, website is nellynaylor.com. I'm Nelly Naylor Photography on Instagram. Same on Facebook as well. If you're getting married, drop me a message. Hopefully I can help.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll put all Nelly's details in the description of the podcast on YouTube.
Yes,
but yeah,
thank you.
See you all soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.